start the record. Okay, so thanks everyone for coming tonight. My name is Stephanie Petch. I'm Assistant Director in the Office of Financial Aid on campus. I've been with the university for several years. I think in financial aid for, I think it should be about 18 years. But worked in other parts of the university as well. I do want to take a minute to let you know that I have other staff on the back end of this webinar that are there to answer your questions. I have all of our financial aid advisors on hand. So I've got Natalie, Bill, Andy, Jen, David, Leanne. And then we also have an admissions rep, Clarissa, who is here to help with any additional admissions questions that you might have, or scholarship, or any random questions that maybe we can't answer right away. She's on the back end too, answering questions. So how this format is going to be is I'm going to go over some things with the presentation, and then we'll take a little break and answer some questions live, and then go back to the presentation to see if there is any type of outstanding issue or patterns of questions being asked. You do have a Q&A button on your webinar that you can click that and you can ask your question, and the advisors and Clarissa will respond to you in a timely fashion. So we will go ahead and get started. And sorry, I have to get my glasses on because it's getting to that point in my age where I can't see anything close to me. So, okay, so you filed the FAFSA, now what? Let's go page down. There we go. So what we're gonna go over today, we're gonna go over the award offers, will financial aid pay for everything, additional requirements, and special financial situations. It should really be pretty quick, right around an hour maybe, and then we can get you guys out of here. So, okay, so understanding the aid offer. First, I would like to address the fact that, yes, I know that none of you have received your aid offer yet from Eastern Michigan University. It is in the works. We do plan on having our our aid offers out or in the mail on January 20th. So while it's not December that they got out, they will be coming as soon. So, and there's going to be over 4,200 award offers that are mailed. So yours should be in there if you've already filed the FAFSA. If you just filed the FAFSA, you may not get in that first run, but they will be coming every week thereafter. So I just wanted to give you a quick snapshot of what the award offer looks like. So this is part of the award offer. And what's important about this is that this is a checklist that we include, that Eastern Michigan includes in their offer, that just kind of tells you what you need to do. You know, your first step is to review the offers on the next page. Your second step is this. Your third step, just so that you have it in writing, the steps that you need to take. This is not exactly what you're going to see on your award offer. This is a year old, this one is. But make sure that, the important thing to note is you just need to make sure that your son or daughter is reading this information, because it will come addressed to them. They need to make sure that they're reading the information and that they're really clear on what they've been awarded and what their next steps are. So this is the nuts and bolts of the award offer. And this is what most people are gonna, they're gonna open the packet and they're gonna be like, okay, well, what do we get? What do we get? What do we get? This is what you're gonna be looking at. So this is where the financial aid that we've packaged your son or daughter with is going to be showing. And this is actually somebody's award offer, a copy. We don't know whose it is because it's all been scrubbed out, but this is an exact shot of what the offer could potentially look like. So let's start at the top. We want to address what the estimated direct costs are to attend Eastern Michigan University. And our estimates are based on 15 credit hours per semester. So that's 30 credits per year. And room and board, so that's double occupancy with the mid-range meal plan, and you've got about 12,500 each semester just for tuition and fees and room and board. And that's what we consider direct costs for the university. Direct costs would be something that we would call billable costs. So at Eastern, we only bill for tuition and fees and room and board that like financial aid can pay for. Sometimes students can bill their parking pass to their account, but that's, you know, separate. You cannot put your books and supplies on your student bill. So that is not what we would consider a billable cost at Eastern. And a lot of times the reason why we have this listed here, and actually the reason why a lot of schools have this information is because the first thing parents really want to know is how much is it going to cost to attend your university? So that's why we break it down with direct or billable cost versus indirect costs. So the indirect costs would be things associated with attending school, but not billed through the university. So what would that be? That would be books and supplies. That would be personal expenses like things for laundry or shampoo, you know, conditioner, detergent, maybe an additional meal on the weekend, depending on what your meal plan is. It'd be things like that, transportation costs. So those aren't things that the university is going to bill you for, but they're things that we include in the overall cost of attendance. But when you're looking at what's it gonna cost me to attend Eastern, that's the number we are going to use, is the 12,563. So for a year, it's going to be about 25,000, a little over 25,000. So when you're looking at financial aid, what we're going to do is we're going to base off, do I have enough money? We're going to base that off of direct cost. So the way we've laid out our award offer, I think it's probably one of the most understandable award offers that I've seen out there. You know, to me, it seems self-explanatory, but not all aid offers are like this. So it's just good for you to know the difference when you're looking at other schools, so that you can tell, okay, which one am I going to have the least out-of-pocket expense? So at Eastern, we list your direct costs and then we list your free money. So your scholarship and grants are going to go right under your direct cost. This student has received the Pell Grant, the Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant, and the Education First Opportunity Scholarship. So in total, this student has about a little over $14,000 in free money that they are getting between the federal government and the university. So if this family says, okay, I want to know how much I have to pay, and I don't want to take out any loans. Right here, the estimated remaining balance after scholarships and grants, that's how much a family would have to pay out of pocket if they decide they do not want to borrow any type of federal loan. So right here, we've got this estimated cost per semester. So remember, these are per semester and this is per year, total per year. So after we list the free money, we go down and we list the loan eligibility. And as you can see, the one thing we want to make very certain when we list this loan eligibility is that this must be repaid. So it's important that you, a parent, and the student know that when you borrow loans, it does have to be repaid. So in this section, we list usually the subsidized loan and the unsubsidized loan, which is the student can borrow those loans on their own. And then we also list the direct plus loan. The plus loan is the loan that the parent has to borrow for the student. So if someone wants to say, well, what is my cost if I want my son or daughter to apply for the loan, but I'm not going to borrow a plus loan? So what might my out-of-pocket expenses be? Well, this pretty much has it broken down for you. You use the direct cost minus the gift aid, minus the loans that the student can borrow, and then you would get your out-of-pocket expenses. And then below our loans, we have listed our federal work study. The federal work study, if you don't know about the program, it's kind of a different type of federal aid. It's a use it or lose it type of fund. So the student has to go out and they have to find a job, usually on campus, where they are employed. They work for that office, they work for the rec, they work in dining services, they work at the front desk of the residence hall. So they work and they get their paycheck, but their paycheck comes out of the federal work study funding, and not like that office budget or, you know, the Rec IM budget or anything like that. So it's from the federal government, but the student has to work to get it. So that's why we've kind of listed that last, because it's not a for sure federal funding unless the student actually works to get it. So this student has been awarded federal work study of $1,500 each semester for a total of $3,000. So one thing that I think people might find confusing about the award offers is while we list direct costs on here, and we list the total as $25,000, if you add up the scholarships and grants, all of the loans, and the federal work study, you come to a total that is over $25,000. And that is because we base the entire financial aid package off of the entire cost of attendance, direct and indirect costs. I just want to make sure people understand that part, where if you start adding up your awards and you're like, wait, they said it's $25,000, but they want me to take out, you know, the student loans, the parent loan, and that's like, you know, $30,000. Why am I going to borrow this money if it's over what it costs to attend? Well, it's just, if you want to borrow money for the additional expenses, like the personal transportation, things like that, that's what you have available to you. So this is, again, is exactly what you're off, not exactly, because not everyone will have these types of scholarships, but this is what, when you get your award offer, this will look familiar, this page. So then we want to talk about, will financial aid cover everything? So I've kind of gone over this, and this is what you as a family have to figure out. Okay, you have the direct cost to attend the university, but I don't want to borrow loans. So how do you figure that out? You take the direct cost minus your scholarship and grant, and then that equals the out-of-pocket expenses. If you only want your student to borrow loans, you take the direct cost minus scholarship and grant, minus their direct loan eligibility. And remember, it's subsidized and unsubsidized. Those are the loans that the student can take. And then that equals your out-of-pocket expenses. If you're borrowing and the student is borrowing, you shouldn't have to worry about out-of-pocket expenses. And I'm going to go over this, and then we're going to answer some questions live. So Bill, be ready in just a couple minutes. So if you decide that you have some out-of-pocket expenses, whether you're not going to borrow the PLUS loan or you're not going to have your son or daughter borrow the direct loans, I think it's important for you to know that the university does offer payment plan options for families. We have 5-month, 4-month, and 3-month payment plans, which is, it's a really good option for families. You sign up for those through Student Business Services, the e-bill website, which you'll find out more information about that. But I think that it's just important for you to know that there are payment plan options. There is a fee to enroll in the payment plan. And I don't remember what it is. It's usually around $50-some. And sometimes if you get in on the payment plan really early, like the 5-month payment plan, there's actually no fee. So keep an eye out for that information. Once the billing comes out, they'll be sending information. It'll be posted on their website. So if you sign up on a payment plan option and you make your payments regularly, you will not receive late fees on your account if your payment is on time. So that's a positive for the student. If you decide you don't want to be on a payment plan and you still have a bill, the university will automatically enroll you in what they call in their installment plan, and they'll send you a bill, and if you make the minimum payment by the due date, you're automatically enrolled in that installment plan. It'll be posted on the bill. Just know too that there are fees associated with being in the installment plan, and it's usually cheaper to get enrolled in the monthly payment plan option. So with the installment plan, you make like one payment, and then so many weeks later, you make another payment to pay off the entire balance. There will be a hold on the student's account until that balance is paid in full. And what that means, basically what a hold means, is the student can't get a transcript, an official transcript. They can't do scheduling changes. If they want to drop a class or add a class, they may not be able to do that because there will be a hold on their account, and they'll have to talk to someone to get it removed. So keep that in mind. If you do pay the entire balance by the first bill due date, there will be no fees and there will be no holds. So the student will be free to do whatever they want and free to register when registration time comes for the next semester. But not everyone can do that. So just know that there are options out there for you. And again, financial aid doesn't cover the payment plan options. We aren't in charge of that. So it is through Student Business Services. And again, you'll find out more information about that office and what they have to offer families when we get a little closer. Okay, Bill, before I go on to the additional requirements, do you have any questions that are repeaters that we need to address?
Yeah, thanks, Steph, for calling me. Yeah, thanks also to all the attendees asking some outstanding questions. We've been trying to answer as quickly as we can. It seems like there have been a lot of work study questions this go round, so maybe we want to talk a little bit about that. I know we had a question about what do we usually pay work study students, and am I wrong at saying that it's minimum wage stuff, or?
That's it. That's how I would have. That's what I would say as well. I mean,
Okay.
and they start out at minimum wage, and then usually if they stick with the office or the facility wherever they're working, they may get minimum raises, every semester or every year. But they start out at minimum wage.
Right. And keep in mind that federal work study is a need-based award. So there were some questions about, do I qualify for that? You do have to demonstrate financial need as determined by the FAFSA. So expected family contribution subtracted from the cost of attendance. That's way too technical, I know, but you do have to demonstrate need to qualify. And as far as like how many hours you can expect the student to work, usually it's about, on average, I'd say about 20 hours, Steph. Do you think that's about right?
I mean, I think that's the max that students
I
can
think
work.
that's the max too. I think I said that's the average amount, but yeah, all employers understand that students are students and they're there to attend school. That's the priority. But most employers on campus will, and departments across campus will work with the student along with their schedule. We do that. We have several work study students that we employ every semester, and we work with them to make sure that they get the grades that they need.
Yeah, and I do just want to say that I know sometimes parents are hesitant with having their kids work that first year or that first semester. However, I do strongly encourage students to get out there and take advantage of that federal work study funding that they have, even if it's just 6 hours a week. Have them get out there and learn a new skill. Sometimes we have students that start in our office that have never answered a phone. Well, besides their cell phone, but they've never answered a phone professionally. So they're learning skills, learning some sort of responsibility, and they're going into like the students in our office, we see them, you know, when they come in, we check on them. If they're sick, you know, we make sure, like, you know, what are you taking? Are you taking medicine? Do you have medicine? Why are you sick? So we're kind of like, you know, mother henning them, making sure that they're okay, staying on track. A lot of times when they work in a place on campus, you know, their grades will be checked at the end of each semester for them to continue. So it's just a good experience for kids. Even if they don't have federal work study, there are plenty of offices around campus that hire students just as regular pay students.
Yeah,
Yeah, so like anyone can get a job. It doesn't just have to be federal work study students.
yeah, and I erroneously said 20 hours. That is the way maximum that students would be working. It's more like 6 to 10 on average.
Yeah.
Most students will be able to earn up to $1,500 per semester. So if you do the math, my 20-hour estimate was a little off. But yeah, again, it's very it's very flexible. So Steph, I did just want to mention too that the questions are kind of coming in fast and furious, and we're trying to keep up with them. But I know it just seemed like work studies seemed to be like a trend there. Let me just see if I can grab some that our advisors don't seem to have grabbed yet. Let's see.
Okay.
Debbie, are there on-campus employment opportunities for students who don't qualify? Yeah, Steph just mentioned that. There are a lot of places around campus. There are shopping malls, restaurants that will hopefully open soon, right? But there are different things that students can look into where they don't necessarily have to have work study. But most on-campus positions do require federal work study, with the exception of like a lot of the food service locations and stuff like that. They have more of an operating budget than what, say, the financial aid office does. So
yeah, and I will say, I attended Eastern for 5 years. I was a student employee for 4 years. I did not have federal work study, but I was employed by the same office for 4 years, and they were like my mothers. So it is absolutely not impossible for students to get a job. I think, you know, like the Rec IM, the residence halls, so like they have to have people working the front desk, you know, for check-in and mail and all of that stuff. So there are plenty of employment options available in a regular year. It's a little different this year, but Eastern has a portal through their through the eMish account. It's called Handshake, where students can go to look at outstanding jobs or job openings, and they can apply for jobs right online. So that's called Handshake. If they just do a search in the emish.edu website, they should be able to get the information on that.
Excellent. All right, thanks. Yeah, moving on from work study. Another question that we had several questions about the different types of loans. Can you provide some detail around the differences in the types of student loans that are available?
Oh, sure. So, and I'm sorry I didn't focus on that earlier. Sometimes we kind of skip over that because we usually talk about that in high school night presentations, but it's, you know, hard to remember. You guys probably haven't had a high school night presentation. So the student is eligible for the main loan program is called the direct loan program. For students, there are 2 loans that are available: subsidized and unsubsidized. Subsidized is based on need, so not everyone's going to be eligible for subsidized. Unsubsidized, anyone can get. But the difference between the two is that the government pays or covers the interest on the subsidized loan while the student is enrolled in school at least half time. With the unsubsidized, the student is responsible for the interest on that loan while they are enrolled in school. When they fill out the promissory note, which we're going to talk about in just a couple minutes, when they fill that promissory note out, they have the option whether they want to defer those interest payments immediately, or they want to pay the interest while they're enrolled in school. So they do have the option to defer those payments. When students ask me, I typically will always tell them that they should not defer the interest payments and just pay those as they're due quarterly if they can afford it. And the only reason is because in the long run, you know, I think you as parents who probably have mortgage and all that stuff, in the long run, if you pay the interest while you're enrolled in school, you're paying less on the loan because it does get put back into the principal balance. So they capitalize the interest. So those are the two loan programs for the student through the federal government, subsidized and unsubsidized. The other loan program that is popular, another big one, is called the Parent Plus loan. So this is a loan that the parent has to borrow for the student. The loan is in the parent's name, and the parent is responsible for repaying that. Repayment does typically begin while the student is enrolled in school. The federal government will defer those payments very easily. All you have to do is ask them. The interest rates do vary. We have that information on our website under the loan information. Interest rate on the Parent Plus loan is higher than the interest rate on the subsidized and unsubsidized loan. But with the Plus loan, there's also a pre-application that the parent has to go through because it is a credit-based loan. The federal government will do a quick credit check on you before they approve you for the loan. So those are the three main loan programs. Besides that, there are private loans that are not through the federal government. They're through outside lenders, you know, outside banks like Citizens, Nelnet, Sallie Mae. I don't even know if Sallie Mae is still around actually. Wells Fargo, you know, outside institutions. You could probably look through a credit union to get a private loan or a personal loan if you wanted to go that route. I think what you will find is that the interest rates on the federal loans are generally fairly low in comparison to what students and parents would be getting through the private loan side. The only way that usually private loans have a lower interest rate are as if the parent has excellent to very good credit, and the student has established some kind of credit, and it is also very good. So that's usually the only time that a private loan interest rate is lower than like a Plus loan or any of the subsidized or unsubsidized. So that's the difference. And all of this information is also on our website that under the loan information that you can go to at any time. I've got some steps here in the presentation to kind of show you where that is. While we're on that subject of the Plus loan, that leads us kind of into additional requirements that I want to remind you about or just tell you about if you've never heard about it before. There is a process called verification with federal financial aid recipients. So you submit the FAFSA to the federal government. They send the information to us, and then they also will tell us that we need to check your file to make sure that everything that you submitted is accurate. So that's a process called verification. The federal government tells us who to pick. We don't decide that anymore. They tell us, and we don't know what their criteria is, so we can't say, you know, make sure you put your taxes paid incorrectly or incorrect so that you don't get selected for verification. We don't know what makes them select a family or a student for verification. But just know that if you are selected for verification, we're going to be asking for additional documentation to be submitted into our office. And usually that will include a verification worksheet. And if you didn't do the IRS data retrieval when you filled your FAFSA out, we're going to ask for a tax transcript or a copy of your tax return. So keep that in mind. All of this information will be on the student's account. And again, we'll show you, kind of tell you the general area where that's listed. We will send a paper letter to the student letting them know if they're selected for verification and what documents, where to find the documents. So we don't just put it out there and tell the student and not tell the student. Once a student is enrolled in classes, if they're selected for verification, they get an email from us every other week regarding documentation that needs to be submitted, if it hasn't been submitted yet. One really important thing to note about verification is that the student's financial aid will be on hold. It will not pay to their bill until this process is complete, okay? And it could change depending on if what you submitted on the FAFSA isn't it's not what's reflected on the verification worksheet or the tax return. Maybe you made an error in data entry. And if we change the information, the financial aid package could change as well. So it is really important that if the student is selected for verification, if they're notified that they're selected, they get the documents in, you get the documents into our office as soon as possible. The sooner those are in, the sooner we can give you a final financial aid offer. And I think really just for your comfort, you'll know. We do have students, new students, usually a handful every semester that they don't look at their bill, they don't know that they have a balance, they don't know that their aid has paid, and it's December 1st. So at Eastern, you don't get kicked out of your classes if you owe a bill, but you are prevented from registering for a future semester. So that's not good. So, just make sure if they're selected, get those documents in. Another process that requires additional requirements are the loans. So like I had mentioned before, the PLUS loan does require a pre-application that the parent has to fill out and a master promissory note that the parent has to fill out. It only has to be one parent. If you're married and you're both the biological parent of the student, only one parent has to apply for the PLUS loan. You both don't have to apply, but it does have to be a biological or adoptive parent that can do the application. So you can't get, grandma or the best aunt ever to take out a PLUS loan for the student. It has to be a parent. So the PLUS loan requires additional steps. And then if the student accepts the subsidized or the unsubsidized loan, they also have a master promissory note and what's called entrance counseling that they have to complete. Now, all of these things, you can complete them online. So, if the student accepts the loan, we put a requirement out on their eMish account, and it has the link directly to the master promissory note, directly to the entrance counseling. If they accept the Parent Plus loan, we put a link on their eMish account. I know they're going to have to sign into their eMish and push the link for you, or you'll be able to find it on our website as well. But we will link you directly to where you need to go. So it's not really a guessing game. We tell you what you need to do. So keep those in mind. Keep those two things in mind. The Parent Plus loan, it's not just about accepting, it's about accepting, pre-application, master promissory note. Sub and unsub loan, accepting, master promissory note, entrance counseling. So just know that there are additional steps with those processes. And again, we will send emails and paper letters to students letting them know that we're requesting documentation. Now, a student isn't able to get into their eMish email address until they're actually registered for classes. So once they're registered for classes, it's really important that they start checking their eMish email address regularly. They can get into the eMish portal, but they just won't be able to get emails from us until they're actually registered for classes. So keep that in mind. If you're trying to go out there right now and log into their email to see if they're selected for verification or anything like that, it's not going to happen. You're not going to be able to access it because they have to be registered for classes first. Again, if you don't receive the email or if you're not getting paper notification, you can also follow step-by-step instructions on our website to see if there are requirements out there for the student. And when you go to this, you'll also see we have out there, how to accept your aid. We have aid information out there, view your outstanding requirements, information about promissory notes and entrance counseling. So it's all out there on our website. But I think the easiest way that I could do it is go to emish.edu/finaid. Applying for aid, it's going to be in the top left, like we have a bar, and you go to applying for aid, and then again on the left side, requirements for aid. You click on those things and the directions will be right there. But again, I think that the point that I want to get across is you will have additional requirements. It's not just about accepting your aid for loans. It's also about completing those additional requirements. Now, the free money, the Pell Grant, the Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant, those are already accepted for the student. We're not even giving them really the option to decline that because it's a grant, it's free money. It's best for them to have that. So we don't want them to get in any type of situation where they forget and borrow too much loan. You know, that's not going to happen. Those are automatically in an accept status for the student. So the last thing that I want to touch on before I give our contact information and then open it back up for questions is the last thing I want to touch on is we have a lot of students. Of course, this is like a extraordinary time for everybody with people being out of work, you know, people's hours being cut, no overtime, you know, things like that. We have a lot of families that the financial information that they put on the FAFSA for 2019 does not accurately reflect what type of situation they're in now. And we get that, we understand that. And thank goodness the federal government understands that too. So we have this process that's called a special circumstance appeal. And what we can do, you know, you call our office, you talk to our advisors, they'll take a look at your account, you know, you'll explain the situation to them. What we can do is we can take a look at your current financial situation, not 2019, what happened, what's going on now, and we can gather information from you, and we can base your financial aid award package off of your current situation. So it's called a special circumstance due to loss of income appeal, or just a special circumstance appeal. We can do this at any time. Typically, we would ask for, you know, the 2020 tax return to make a really accurate, you know, kind of adjustment. However, if 2020 doesn't even reflect what you're going through now, the advisors will figure that out, and they'll ask you for certain documentation that you have to submit to the office, because of course, if we change something, we're going to need to have it on hand just in case the federal government comes back and says, why did you change this FAFSA? We have to have that information on hand. So that's why we have to ask for the documentation from you. But just know that if your financial situation has changed, you do have options. Now, if your financial situation has gotten better, you don't need to tell us that. There's nothing, I mean, no, don't tell us that. It's only if your financial situation has really decreased. That's really the only time that we really want to hear from you. And typically it's about a change of like 20% to really make some sort of impact on the student's file. But even if it's not 20%, I want you to call our office. I've listed our number here. That's our direct number into our office. This is also the number that's on your award offer. Talk to an advisor, go over it. Don't be embarrassed, ashamed, anything like that to talk about your situation. Stuff happens. People get divorced. You know, things happen. People lose jobs. People's hours get cut. That's life. And we've heard it. We've heard it all. They can help you. So it's called a special circumstance appeal. Also, just a really quick note that if you already have a 0 EFC from the federal government, so you filled out your FAFSA, and at the end it tells you what your EFC is, expected family contribution. If yours is already 0, we can't really do a loss of income for you. However, that doesn't mean that you can't call our office and talk to our advisors about any additional funding options that there may be available to you. But we can't decrease your expected family contribution anymore. It's already at 0. And I mean, just call us and we'll see if there's anything else that's out there. Sometimes we get some grant funding, like student government just gave us some grant funding. Who knows, we may have something like that that could help students. And, you know, if we do have it available, we'll use it. But you have to contact us to let us know that you're in a situation that would require it. Let's see. Okay, so kind of wrapping it up, what do I need to do as a parent and a student? I know that this is for parents, but once they get to college, they're considered adults and they are responsible for themselves. However, they still need pushing. I know, I mean, we've got them. Several of, the staff members have children, older college-age children, and they still need a little pushing, prodding to get things done, texting, whatever. So the next steps, when the time comes, you and the student, this is really a form the student has to fill out, should submit a FERPA form. This is like the Federal Education Rights and Privacy Act form. So this form, the student fills out and they list who we can speak to regarding their account. So if there's not a FERPA form on file and the student is registered for classes and you call in and say, okay, what do I need to turn in? What does my son need to turn in? If there's not a FERPA on file, I can't tell you. If you want to know what the balance is, if you call Student Business Services and want to know how much to pay, because you're going to pay off their balance, if there's not a FERPA form on file, they can't tell you. So it's probably one of the most important in our office and Student Business Services. It's probably one of the most important forms a student has to fill out. And it's probably, as a parent, it's going to be one of the most frustrating things ever if you call in and you can't get answers. It's not because we don't want to give you answers. It's not because we don't feel for you that they didn't fill this form out. It's that we're not allowed to. It's a federal regulation. So they're going to have to make sure at some point this form gets filled out. Also, just make sure that you're completing all outstanding requirements. That means the loan counseling, master promissory notes, turning in any documents for verification. And then the last 2 really have to happen after, well, this third one is after high school is done. But it's very important that the student remembers to have their official high school transcript sent with the graduation date, marking that they graduated from their high school. They have to have that sent to the school that they ultimately end up at. So ultimately we hope that it's Eastern, right? So they need to send that high school transcript to Eastern. It doesn't matter if we have their sophomore, their junior, their first semester of their senior year, we have to have that final transcript showing that they graduated with a diploma. If not, it creates problems. Well, first of all, financial aid won't pay if we don't have it. So the financial aid's not going to pay, and then it will create problems with them for that next semester. They won't be able to enroll in school anymore. So, and then once the student is registered, they need to remember to check their email regularly. Now, we do sometimes get requests from parents that every time we send the student an email, we need to send the parent an email. That's not going to happen. Maybe, I mean, I don't even know how, no, that's just not going to happen. Our communication, because the student is considered an adult, it is going to go to the student. And once they are registered, ultimately, it is their responsibility. This is a bill that's in their name. They're responsible for it. So if you feel like things aren't happening on their account, make sure you just prod them to check their emails. One other thing, through the billing website, I'm just throwing this out there, it's not on the slides, but through Student Business Services, through their e-bill website, they have a link called an authorized user. And the importance of this is, you should probably write this down, it's called an authorized user. The importance of this is bills are going to be sent via email, and they're going to be sent to the student at their email address. They will never send an email to you unless the student lists you as an authorized user. So every time the student gets a bill from the e-bill website, if you are listed as an authorized user, you will also get an email. But you won't get that email unless they have you listed. And I know that's also another frustrating thing for parents, is because they don't see anything. You know, they're not getting any type of communication. It's because it's all going to the student. And they need to take steps to make sure that you're getting it. So hopefully when the time comes, when you get into the e-bill website, you'll remember authorized user, and they'll get you signed up right away. I think they can list numerous people. So if you have an account and your spouse has an account, and maybe even grandma, if grandma is like, yeah, I'm paying for your college, grandma can get an email too. I want grandma. But otherwise, here is our information, our contact information. If you have questions, you can call us via phone. We have been answering our phones and our emails, setting up Zoom calls or Google Meets with students and families this whole entire time since last March. Service EMU, which is our one-stop shop, is actually open for in-person service right now. They just opened yesterday. So their hours are Monday through Thursday, 9 to 4, and Friday, 10 to 4. They are located in the Student Center, which if you've never been to campus or you haven't been in a while, that is like one of the main buildings. There's the bookstore is there, the admissions welcome center is there. However, because it is COVID, you do have to have a face mask to enter the building. You have to follow proper signage on the floor. And then you will have to do a wellness check. Either you do that through your phone, or they will do that once you come through the doors of the building. So if you didn't do it online, they have the forms right there that you have to fill out and attest, that you don't have any of the symptoms, and then they'll let you in the building. So keep that in mind, but they are open. So if you're more of I need a face-to-face, I need to talk to someone and I need to speak to their, I need to see them. I need to see their eyes and their head bob, whatever. You can always attend Service EMU. Bill, we have probably 5-6 minutes. I mean, we have more, but I don't want to keep people here if it's not needed. So what do we got going on question-wise?
Well, I think we just got us down to like 4 questions waiting in the queue, and I did kind of jot a few down while we were distributing the questions. The first one someone was asking about Service EMU, that it is available. Stuff I wasn't completely listening, but we do have I know. I'm not the best multitasker tonight, but anyway, Service EMU is open Monday through Thursday, 9 to 4, as well as Friday from 10 to 4 at the EMU Student Center. And again, masks are required for visiting, and so that is available. Clarissa, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Yay, thanks. I'm glad you're there. Do you have any updates on the presidential scholarship competition, where we're at with that and when people will be notified?
So actually that's going to come through the Honors College. And so,
that's the Honors College. Okay, sorry.
So the Honors College will be managing those next steps. The deadline for submissions of applications was December the 18th. And in January is when all of those documents, the final documents, if they were in the mail, and just kind of needed to be postmarked and sent to us was in January. So you should have, for those students that did get their application materials in by December the 18th as requested, they should be either reaching out to the Honors College, or the Honors College is probably reaching out to them very soon about next steps.
Excellent, thank you. And one more question for you while I've got you. When will on-campus tours start?
Great question. And as of right now, we are still offering virtual tours, which are in the afternoon of each day. We've just been encouraging students because we are looking to return to campus. That's our goal, that's our hope. But we are asking students to go to the emich.edu/visit, and I'll add that to the chat box that we have, and that will keep you up to date on when the face-to-face tours will happen. As of right now, it's expected to come, but we don't have the exact date of when it will happen. So just note that. And I also, since I got the mic, really quickly want to mention, for those who are interested in enrollment at EMU, your next steps is to complete the form called I Choose E. If you go to the website that says emich.edu/admit, there is the link to Choose E, and that will provide you with all of the data that we need for you to select the date starting in March, as I think someone either said or was in the Q&A box. A lot of things were happening in that Q&A box. But March 1st, or in March, is when those advising appointments will happen with students. So you can choose E, and that will let us know that you are interested in continuing to receive information about what steps you need to take towards enrollment. So that's the next step. Choose E, which can be found at the emich.edu/admit website.
What if they change their mind about after choosing I Choose E?
Great.
Someone just asked that. Someone just asked that.
That's a really great question, and that's a common one. There is the option on there for you to unselect or contact our admissions office, and we can make that change for you. So you're not committed, it's not binding, where you don't have the option of making a decision later. But if you got us in your top 1 or 2, then we are encouraging you to go ahead and complete that form so that we can give you specific direction about what you should be doing next.
Excellent. Thank you so much. The next question, we got a couple questions about the my.emich account stuff. I know ironically, we're just talking about that today. Do you want to talk about their email and their my.emich portal?
Sure. So the Emich portal is a portal that we have, and several other, like Western has it, like it's called their WMich, CMich, Central has it. So Washtenaw has it. They're basically portals where students can do everything school related. So if you go to like the homepage, and I think the information doesn't something come in their admit letter about how to log in to the portal, how to start the portal? It's Bill.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought, yeah, I believe that information is sent to them at the time of admission with their admission packet. As far as I know, that their my.emich portal will work immediately, but it's once they register for classes that their email will be available. Sorry if I stole your thunder on that.
No, that's fine. And then also, like, the Emich portal is just like an all-encompassing thing that where their university information is. So they can take a look and see, based on their major, what classes they still need to take, what, they look to see when their registration time is. If they're employed by the university, they can look at and print their W-2s from that the portal. So it's an all-encompassing portal, and most schools have them now. And like I said, the student can get into the eMish portal right now. And they just can't get the emails until they register for classes. One thing that I also wanted to touch on is I got an email right before the presentation started. A gentleman asked how long it really takes for someone to receive like their admit letter, or their scholarship offer. And he was expecting it a while ago and it hasn't happened yet. So sometimes in terms of time, a while ago to some people doesn't mean a while ago, doesn't mean the same to everyone. But if it's been longer than 3 weeks, I would reach out to the admissions office, and they can track that or send another notification out to you. I will keep in mind, I mean, I know crazy things are happening with the mail right now, not like at Eastern's end, but like on, cities and other cities' ends. So, it could be lost in transit. I'm still waiting on an Amazon package to come from like 2 months ago. But I mean, if it's been longer than 3 weeks, call the admissions office on that admit letter. Now remember, financial aid offers won't be going in the mail until the 20th. So if you're local, you might get it like within a couple days, but I would say the majority of us would probably get it, 5 to 7 days later, hopefully, if everything goes good with the mail. And again, it's going to come addressed to the student in a nice envelope. You're going to be able to tell it's from Eastern. So what else you got, Bill?
Okay, yeah, just kind of rushing through the remainder of them. There was one question, when is a student considered an adult for FAFSA support? I think he's asking, when does a student not have to include parent information on the FAFSA?
Yeah, that kind of sounds like it. And if it's totally off, send us an email or give us a call tomorrow and we'll address it. But for financial aid purposes, a student is considered dependent upon their parents unless certain criteria is met. Age criteria is 24. So until a student turns 24, until they have a dependent that they care for 50% of their upbringing, if they're a veteran, when they're in a graduate program, there's a list. When the student filled the FAFSA out, there was probably about 15 questions that they had to say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. If they listed your information on the FAFSA, they said no to everything. And it only takes one to make them an independent student. But there is a list of about 15 questions, and it ranges age, dependence, graduate programs, homeless, foster or guardianship. So they're various questions. But if we're just talking age, it's 24.
Okay, good. And then another, it was more of a comment more than anything. Well, a parent asked, my student's going to be 17 years old when she graduates and starts attending EMU. Will she be able to take out a loan? And I explained, yes, as long as you're in a degree-seeking program and meet all eligibility questions. And she kind of thought that was not appropriate for someone so young, fresh out of school. Do you have anything to say about that stuff?
The federal government says that they can.
Yeah.
That's all I can say about that. I mean, it's their regulations set by the federal government. And Bill, if you remember, this is just a story for we had what we thought was, I think it was a
12-year-old.
12-year-old, yeah, applied to Eastern, admitted to Eastern, and filled out the FAFSA. And they were going to borrow a loan. And we were scurrying through all of the federal regulations, asking our federal people, can this student really take a loan? And the answer was, yeah, they could. Now they ended up not taking the loan. I don't know if it was like, just a weird coincidence, but the federal government says that yes, if they are 17 or under 18, if they are enrolled in school, at least half time, they can borrow a loan.
Yeah, and the parent also she equated that with like predatory lending, like credit cards and stuff. One thing that we're just not going to throw a loan at a student willy-nilly. We make sure that they understand that it's not a lifetime commitment, but it's a commitment that they have to pay it back, and it's going to be, you know, something that they'll be facing for the next few years as far as like once they graduate. So they go through what we call an um, online entrance counseling piece. It's like an online tutorial where they'll learn the ins and outs of what it means to be a student loan borrower, interest rates, how to budget, how to accept just what we need. As financial aid professionals, my staff, my colleagues that have been answering your questions and staff will tell students and families to just accept what they need. So it's not like they're thrown in willy-nilly up to their up to their ears in credit card or in loan debt. So we make sure that they're prepared for that. And the federal government requires that too. So that's good. Wow. It looks like the question and answer queue is empty. Good job,
And
everybody.
did you just create a new word called earballs?
I did.
Did you say up to their earballs?
Up to my earballs. I have
Okay.
them. That's an old photo. You can't see them in my photo on my Zoom. But yeah, I've got earballs.
Okay.
Anyways.
Okay. Well, because the queue is empty, I think that's really pretty much our time to just say good night to everyone. Again, this contact information has been up here for a little while, but it's also going to come on your award offer. So if you have questions, please, please, please do not hesitate to contact us. You guys all have my email address because you signed up for the webinar. So that is out there. And so feel free to call us or email us with any additional questions. Once you receive the award offer, if you have questions, call us. It doesn't matter if you've called us 10 times in a row. We want to make sure your questions are answered and that you're prepared for school at Eastern.
Steph, one last question, which is relevant to what you were just saying. Will we be hosting another one of these webinars in the near future?
So February is Financial Aid Awareness Month. So I do believe that we do have some webinars planned with admissions on how to navigate certain screens and certain processes, certain like individual, like how to complete entrance counseling, or where to go to sign a master promissory note, how to accept. So we do have some things planned, and then also I've recorded this whole session. I think I did that right, and we will get it posted. We have a section on our website, a webinars section that includes webinars that we did in March, April, May, through the summer. That you can always go out there, but this will be posted out there. So just keep an eye on your email, because I think admissions will be the one that will be sending out the webinar and the content that we're going to be sharing with you. So again, thank you everyone for attending tonight. I think we hit like 160, so that was fabulous. So thanks everyone. And I hope you all have a good night. And it's almost Friday, so yay.
Yay.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Stay safe out there.